Hey everyone! So for video number 3 of this week, we will be drawing act number 2. Remember that act number 2 is composed by journeying climax. For my part, I am going to be drawing the climax of my story. Here we have the initial sketch. You can see that it is very simple, but as we add color and illumination, you will see how it comes to life. Before I start, I want to show you how I compose the scene. Here I have the Fibonacci spiral in the rule of thirds right over my sketch. As you can see, I chose that window to be the final point of my spiral, and also decided to put my character in the focal point located in the left down corner. So the first thing that you're gonna see me doing is actually blocking my shapes and my layers. So for example, I have these cell bars in front. I'm gonna keep them that way, and it is going to be one of, if not, I believe, the most darker part in the whole painting. Trying to use very dark and cold colors, since in this part of my story, our main character, is trapped and he's put into jail. And I'm trying to reflect that in the colors with his desperation. Trying to go for a very bluish. Later you see me as well adding some green and some purple. Another thing that I did right away is that I knew that one of the main light sources for the image was going to be the moon, right in the back. So while I draw, I'm gonna keep that in consideration, and most of the natural light is gonna come right from there, from that window. Something that I learned while studying lighting is that when you draw walls, a good trick to do is that right where a wall and another wall meet, in this corner, light is going to be the darkest as it can be in the room. So if you make a little line and you blend it, it will look very good, very realistic. Another thing that you will see me do is that I try to go very dark. The final result is going to be very dark. However, I try to not go as dark as I can. You'll see me play a lot in those dark tones, but I'm always going to restrain myself from using absolute black. You can see that while taking out the sketch, it is starting to look a bit. This is starting to look better, since I already have my shapes with a bit of volume. Probably I think that's one of my favorite parts to do when you start taking up this sketch and it's starting to look pretty good. You'll see me as well trying to give a little bit of texture to everything, but I still try to not be as detailed as with a drawing that's gonna take you 4 hours. I'm trying to really keep it very simple because I like that aesthetic of simplicity in my paintings. Other thing that you will see me do is adjust and readjust the values. Something that I did at the beginning is this right here. I have a layer on top of everything that's making it look black and white. That is so that I can, in grayscale. That is so that I can control the values of every single thing, like this right here. Something that works as well with a lot of contrast in values is having your character maybe darker or lighter than the whole value of the background. So I believe in this case my character is actually lighter than anything else in the background. And that is so that it can actually stand out. Some details that I added, for example, this spider that you see me draw, and I think I'm going to draw again because I put it in the layer that was not supposed to, are going to disappear actually because the overall scene is going to become very dark. But I believe that's okay. There are some very little details that if they need to disappear, it is okay for them to go away. Here you see me adding the second light source. And I did this so I can have him illuminated in the scene, even though it is a very dark one. Put a little candle that is going to put him in the light. Another thing that I did that I think I didn't explain is that I tilted the whole sketch, the whole image. It is a scene of despair for him, so I wanted to tilt at least a little bit the camera so it feels like it is something that is not right. We are in a moment where something that I like to do a lot is cut the compositions in half. So the bars are actually separating the image in two. Here you see me adding the light of the moon reflected on the floor. But yeah, that bar in the middle is cutting the image in two, making two separate subjects, one of them being the kid and the other one being the moon. And here you see me starting, I believe I finished with the colors of the background, so I I took the whole picture and I made it very dark, and then I'm gonna take this light source right here, and I'm gonna start to implement it into the image. Most of the times when I draw, I'm not using fancy layers. I don't use, I just think it's like overlay in Photoshop or lighten. Only in very specific cases where I really want something to shine a lot. However, in this case, that it is a very opaque and a very dark scene, I don't want things to shine that much. In the whole story, there's this play with illumination, and I want to keep playing with that here, but in the complete opposite side, make things very, very dark to make this contrast between light and dark in the story. So yeah, as you can see in those values, he was starting to get loose a little bit with the values of the background and the values of him. So that's why I changed that. I started to add a little bit of lighting in the bars right there in the back. Remember that this light is going to affect everything around him. I'm gonna add a little bit of blur. Try not to use blur that much because I don't like that much how it looks. So I blur something and then I erase it so I can give it more texture. Something that I also have understand when I draw is that I don't need something to look exactly at how it's supposed to be. So for example, that right there that you see me painting is actually a blanket, but it doesn't look like one. And the reason why I don't detail those things that much is because I want the audience to react to those things, to see what they want to see. So if you see, for example, a blanket, or if you see an animal or something, then that will affect you. You know, that will affect how you see the story and how you see those things. So you will also see me that I'm going to change some of the colors because I don't think it is thematically correct. I decided to change that yellow to an orange because I am going to add another color and I want them to be and I want those two colors to work together. You'll see me make things a bit more dark here. And for another thing that I try to do for the majority of the time is that I try not to zoom in. And this is so I can focus on making things very simple. I don't want complex shapes. I want them very, very simple as far as I can go. If I need to get close, it's because I need to paint something very small. And even then, I only try to make the brush smaller. Now you see me, I'm gonna add this color to the whole image. And the reason why I'm adding that is so that there is color coding. Throughout the story, there is this cop that is chasing him. And whenever there's this cup, it is going to be red in the scene. So I'm adding it so that the audience, when they see it, they're like, oh, there's this cup in this image, even though he's not directly into the shot, you know. That's what you can do with color coding. You will see me make a little bit of details because I feel the walls are a bit have too much negative space. So I'll add some cracks, some dark things, so that there's stuff filling them. And here's what I was saying: how some parts get those parts in the corners get darker than everything else. So you see me adding a little bit more, just so there is no confusion between the values in the floor and the values of the wall. Lastly, I'm just gonna add a little bit of details, not too much. I am going to put some rain, just because thematically it's appropriate for it to rain. It adds this emotion of despair. So yeah, that is the painting for this week. Hope you liked it. So that's it. As you see, the only last thing that I did was make it a little bit more dark to emphasize the light. And yeah. So you can see how much drawing can come to life when you apply the aesthetic elements that we saw today. So, for this week's homework, I want you to compose 2 shots from your story, the journey and the climax. And I want you to do it with very simple shapes, and only focusing on the elements that we saw in this week. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice week.